So, have you ever picked up a book without knowing much about the book? Because you're somebody like me who don't generally read a lot of blurb and reviews online and just pick a book on the basis of how the book looks, maybe, or the page count sometimes. So, you don't expect anything at all from the book because you obviously don't know about the book, but end up reading the book and living in the book for a long time, having the core memory from the book, and trying to revisit all the annotated quotes and all just because you love the book so much in the first place. Well, these are all the five books that did exactly that to me. I went into all of these five books without any kind of expectations because somehow all of these books have mixed reviews online, or I was just on a hunt to read books that a lot of people perhaps have not read, maybe, or have not spoken much good about, excellent reviews or something like that. So it's like, let me read it for my own self and find out if this works for me. And you know what? It did wonders to me. So here we are talking about all the five books that I went into with zero expectations but loved it. Now, let's talk about the first book. Now, the first book is very special to me. Why? Because A, I personally have spoken to the author. B, this is a book set in Assam, Guwahati, especially from where I belong. The book here is Undertow by Janvi Barua. Since I didn't know much about the book when I started reading it in the first place, I think that is one of the major reasons why it was so special to me. Also, because of the fact that this book is based in Assam and follows a character, Loya. So, this book follows Loya, who is currently residing in Bangalore or something, and then she one fine day visits her hometown in Guwahati and eventually gets to explore family grief, relationship, communication error, and all the complicated family connection ties. Now, we follow Loya in this book who is traversing through the city. And whenever I came across a place that I know I have visited in Guwahati, obviously the entire Guwahati has been majorly mentioned in this book, at least the important parts of Guwahati. I just always had a roadmap here. Okay, कि हाँ भाई इस जगह पे मैं भी गई हूँ इस जगह पे, it was almost as if like one of my childhood friends who has revisited me after a long time, and we are traveling across the Guwahati city hand in hand. So it was very special for me to read. I loved how poetic but at the same time very lucid in terms of writing. Janvi Barua did a very great job in this book, and what I loved most about this book at the end was how emotional this book felt, but in a very silent way. It was not like screaming emotions and making you cry all throughout. It was like a heart butchering kind of an emotional setup, because nothing in this book feels too dramatic to digest. Okay, but there's this constant feeling that kuch to reh gaya, matlab, something's left unsaid kind of a feeling. Now, this entire list of five books has all kinds of genre, I would say, because the second book is a slow burn mystery from Japan. Now, I was very fortunately sent this as a review copy, and since it's a Penguin modern classic, I was like, I have to read it immediately. So whatever I was reading at that point when I received this book, I dropped and I started reading this one. Now, when we talk about mystery, the first thing that we think is कि हाँ भाई बहुत पेसी होने वाला है, मतलब you can fly by mysteries, right? But with this one, what happened was reading it very slow because the book demands a lot of your patience and attention because it is a slow burner. So basically, this book follows Inspector Imanishi, who is basically investigating a murder that happened beneath train in Tokyo. Okay, now this is how the book starts, and this is exactly what I only knew about the book when I first received it. So, what initially starts as a straightforward murder eventually becomes like very deep, like it goes deeper through every investigation that we come across. Like, too much. The book has too much in it, like a lot of things happening at the same time. I loved how this mystery was very patient. Although for people who enjoys reading fast-paced thrillers and mysteries, I don't think this book is going to work wonders for you because you are going to have to wait. You're going to have to wait. Trust me. A lot of things keep happening in the book. The investigator moves back and fro, obviously, for investigating and all. So it's like you are in Tokyo and it is taking immense time for you to kind of get to the point. or the root cause of the murder, but when it does, voila, that's like the beauty of the book. Yeah, so the translator is Beth Carey, did a tremendously excellent job, because nothing in this book feels over exaggerated. It's the only drawback, I think, with this one book for the readers who love to read fast paced kind of a book, is the fact that this book will take a lot of time and a lot of your attention. Not that you will miss out on anything if you're not putting a lot of your attention, but it deserves it and it demands it too. So the book is Inspector Imanishi Investigates by Sicho Matsumoto. I'm sorry if I'm pronouncing the name wrong. This is a slow burn Japanese mystery novel where the journey matters even more than the solution or than the murder. The third book is one of my most favorite books of all time. It is a very short book. Before I show you the book or even tell you about the book, I would like to very much mention that the author, Gabriel Garcia Marquez, who wrote 100 Years of Solitude, was very much inspired by this author when he first started writing those melancholic stories. When I got to know that Gabriel Garcia, like an author as such, has taken inspiration from this one author to become the greatest author that he is, I was like, I have to read his inspiration. And the author that I'm mentioning here is Juan Rulfo, Pedro Paramo. The book is Pedro Paramo and it is quite short. It's a Mexican, yeah, it is a Mexican book or Mexican author. Now, our protagonist in the book is also named as Juan. Now, the protagonist in this book is traveling to this Mexican town called as Comala to find or to look for his father known as Pedro Paramo. But when he arrives in that city, he discovers a strange population of memory, voices, and possibly the dead. Now, when I initially started reading it, I was so confused on what exactly was I reading. Is this character who has landed in this Comala town of Mexico actually in the city? I mean, in the town, in this world, or is he in heaven or something? Everything in this book felt so like strange, first thing. And every character that we meet in this book through one, the protagonist, are very much like shadows, basically soul like. Now, how it made me feel? It made me feel initially confused, fascinated, and I was also slightly haunted, to be honest, because this book essentially feels like a dream and not like any traditional story. And I think that what makes this book so unique. So somebody who has not read books that confuses you in the first place, and this is a very complicated book, I would say. Even if it looks very short and tiny, it is quite complicated in its own way because of how the book is set up and what message it possesses and delivers at the end. So it's not an easy read, okay? So if you're somebody who wants to read a book that is out of the box and something that you want to experience for the first time, because you perhaps might not have read something so confusing and fascinating at the same time, I think Pedro Paramo is one book that you can go ahead with. But if you're a beginner, I do not recommend this one, because once you read this book as a beginner, you will be like, "Okay, books don't make sense." Now, the fourth one is one of my most favorite books of all time. Now, I did not rate it a 5 star. I don't know why. The book that I'm talking about is Rosemary's Baby by Ira Levin. Now, a short book, okay, a very gripping book, and it's very daunting. Okay, it's a very terrifying kind of a book. So, if you're somebody who wants to read a very melancholic, atmospheric book, I recommend that you read this, especially during winters, because then you're going to get haunted by this book. So the book follows this character Rosemary and her husband Guy, who has newly moved into this apartment in New York, trying to build a new life together there, like a fresh life. But eventually, after becoming involved with this very strange neighbors, like the new neighbors that they have in the city, everything kind of slowly and gradually goes wrong. We as readers, we sense it in a couple of pages, but Rosemary, she does not sense it. The most unsettling part about this book is how everything seems so normal initially, but eventually it just creeps into your skin and you're like shook ki kya ho raha hai. It's like so unsettling. It's very unsettling when you get the hook ki abhi to kuch garbad hone wala hai. And every time I was reading this book, I was constantly telling this character Rosemary ki please don't trust anybody in this book, because everybody seems so fishy. And that's exactly what happens at the end. At the end, you are going to be like, run. Like, just run now. Now, this is a psychological horror story that talks much about trust, manipulation, and also about slowly losing control over your own life. Now, the last book is by one of the very important to me, like very famous authors of all time. I think half the population loves her for her creative writing, and how she writes characters and all, half the population does not understand her. When I came across this author, I knew that I have to pick her very famous work, that is Normal People, and I'm talking about Sally Rooney here. Now, Normal People is one book that is quite controversial. Not a lot of people likes it, not a lot of people understands it, but for me, I kind of tried reading Normal People once, twice, thrice, and just dropped it. I was like, this book does not make sense, okay? And then I was like, I should give this author another chance. Maybe I'm not liking Normal People because of the two characters. That makes no sense to me. Too much of intimacy going on. I think I will like her other work. And trust me, I was very right and on point when I said this to my own self. And I read Conversation with Friends by Sally Rooney. This follows four characters who are friends and intertwined into each other's lives some way or the other. It almost feels like you're sitting down with all the four people as if they are your friends at the same table and discussing everything very transparently. Everything in this book is about majorly about conversation and relationship, jealousy, and all of those factors. So it almost feels like it is your own story, or you're like, listening to somebody narrating this story of one of your friends or friends of friends. So it's almost like very transparent that way. So you read a Sally Rooney and you may have confusion regarding the storytelling or the setup and everything, but you will like the characters because of how flawed and imperfect they are. Because she does not write like normal storytelling and all. She writes characters, and I think you need enough maturity to understand like why she does what she does and how brilliantly she does that. So that being said, we come to the end of the video. These are the 5 books that I've read, loved, and have never stopped thinking about ever since I read all of these. And I wish that you get a chance to read all of these. And if you have read any from this list, just let me know in the comments below how you enjoyed reading them. And also, now it's your turn to tell me what was one book that you unexpectedly picked without any review or blurb, and you just had zero expectation from the book but ended up loving it so much that you have never stopped kind of speaking about that book. So yeah, with that we come to the end of the video. I hope you enjoyed watching me. If you did, kindly subscribe to my channel, like this video, hit the bell icon so that you get notified every time I am live, and I will see you in the next one. Until then,